going on, everybody? Civ checking in, and welcome back to another Civ's Advanced Analysis NBA Edition video, where I not only talk about the newest player that joins the NBA team, but more importantly, I give you all as fans a deep dive into what you can expect from the player as they join your team this season, as well as long as they are with your team in the foreseeable future. And today, my friends, we have another player that's joining that list because D'Angelo Russell from the Los Angeles Lakers has been traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And my initial thoughts on this trade is actually a pretty good one for the Brooklyn Nets, despite what people are saying. Because if you look at what D'Angelo Russell brings to the Brooklyn Nets, as well as where the Brooklyn Nets are in terms of what they are expecting this season, you can probably say that both of them, in terms of career goals, it pretty much syncs up with one another. And we're going to be talking about that in this video. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, right off the bat, D'Angelo Russell is a very bold guy. There's no sugarcoating that. However, with that being said though, I think that Brooklyn might be able to benefit off this. Because for D'Angelo Russell, when placed in the correct circumstances, I believe his boldness will actually be the X factor that really helps the team get over the hump in terms of making their franchise more respectable as the games continue. And I believe that D'Angelo Russell might be that man for the job. Because when you look at how Brooklyn has been performing up to this point in the season, they have been doing pretty good, all things considered. Now granted, a lot of their accomplishments, or rather commendable moments throughout the whole season, had Dennis Schroeder in the lineup. And if you know anything about what happened in the NBA recently, you know that Dennis Schroeder got traded to the Golden State Warriors. And in fact, I talked about this in a previous video where I talked about how the Golden State is going to be impacted by the Dennis Schroeder trade. So if you want to check out that video after this video is done, that would greatly help me. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. Because Dennis Schroeder left for Golden State recently, now Brooklyn has this dire situation where they need to fill the void that Dennis Schroeder left behind. I'm talking things like they need to find someone who's a closer, they need to find someone who can hit the mid-range, someone who can pass, someone who can hit that three-pointer, and most importantly, someone who can bring the vibes back. And to be honest with you all, I believe that D'Angelo Russell joining the Brooklyn Nets is actually a blessing in disguise, because he is bringing all of those 5 points with him, and I believe that through this, Brooklyn will not miss a beat in terms of taking any steps back. Instead, they'll be able to push forward as they've always been doing, and D'Angelo Russell will greatly benefit of the success that Brooklyn will be receiving in the later stages of the season as well as the seasons to come. So yeah, I can't wait to see what D'Angelo Russell does for the Brooklyn Nets in terms of the offensive end, and how the vibes of the Brooklyn Nets change, especially with D'Angelo Russell in the lineup. Now, the final point that I want to bring to your attention is actually D'Angelo Russell's defense, because when you look at how D'Angelo Russell has played up to this point in his career, he has played for the Brooklyn Nets, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now granted that the Los Angeles Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets were played in its early stages as well as its late stages, if we're including this trade. However, during his time with the Los Angeles Lakers as well as the Minnesota Timberwolves, right, he was mainly focusing on his offensive abilities. I'm talking things like his slashing ability, his three-point shooting, his dunking, his layup package, his clutchness, his fourth quarter IQ, and things of that nature. Basically everything else needed for an offensive player to be really effective in the NBA. However, because of this, his defensive abilities were non-existent. However, that changed when LeBron James joined the Los Angeles Lakers, because through the different interactions that D'Angelo Russell had with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and all of the other great players that joined the Lakers at that time, and through the different defensive matchups that he was placed in practices, whether that be one-on-one guarding LeBron James or in a 5v5 set guarding LeBron James and other players, you can really tell that his defensive abilities has really risen above people's expectations. And I believe that him joining the Brooklyn Nets now with his increased defensive abilities, man, that will really help the Brooklyn Nets, because the Brooklyn Nets also are a team that is very fast-paced oriented. And in order for those fast breaks to start, they need someone to be a defensive threat for the team. And I believe that D'Angelo Russell could play a big factor in that, as not only will he be able to read the passes that the opponents give much easier on the Brooklyn Nets than in the Lakers system, but also, and more importantly, he'll be able to really understand how each of his teammates are playing, because the Brooklyn Nets do not do very creative types of plays. They're more of a straight and standard, and occasionally they'll have a little variety, but for the most part they're very functional in what they're doing. And I believe through this, D'Angelo Russell will be really able to improve his defense abilities and also be able to relish off the success that Brooklyn will get in their foreseeable games to come. So with this being said, I believe that D'Angelo Russell will be able to really make a big mark on Brooklyn through his defensive abilities, and if he does that, I believe that Brooklyn will be able to go beyond people's expectations, especially with what they're expecting from them this season, and they will be en route to having a really good playoff run in the foreseeable future, if not this season. So we need to see how D'Angelo Russell also does on the defensive end for the Brooklyn Nets and what he can bring to the team on that front as well. So that is my thought on the D'Angelo Russell trade to the Brooklyn Nets. And as I said before in the earlier parts of this video, I think this is a really good trade from the Brooklyn Nets, because not only will this help D'Angelo Russell continue to grow his game in more ways than one, especially on that defensive end, but more importantly, I think that the amount of leaps that D'Angelo Russell will provide to the Brooklyn Nets, it really will open some eyes in the NBA, both from a team perspective as well as a player perspective. However, this is all in the case where D'Angelo Russell does get enough playing time, which was not the case with the Los Angeles Lakers. Hence why his performances were less than adequate at that point. So we need to see what Brooklyn does in terms of his minutes as well as how much he's played, and we'll need to see how D'Angelo Russell accepts this challenge and continues to play in the remainder of the season, as well as his future with the Brooklyn Nets. So with that being said though, let me know in the comments below what you all thought of this trade. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you think that D'Angelo Russell is overrated? And do you think that his career in the NBA is done? Or things of that nature? I'd love to know all of that in the comments below, and I'd love to continue the conversations with you all in the comments below as well. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I hope you all continue to be amazing. Take care everyone.